Mr. Chairman, and I likewise just want to give a sincere thank you, Mr. Chairman, to you and to our witnesses for this tremendously important hearing. And I typically don't do this, but I do want to take just a moment to share a little of a personal experience with all of this because it really hits home just from the last couple of months with me. I'm from Georgia. And of course, Georgia has been known in the past as being extremely tough on crime. And frankly, that toughness over the years has not worked. It's cost the state tons of money, and our jails have been filled to the brim. And under the leadership of our current governor, Governor Deal, he has taken this issue on personally, actually campaigned on this issue as well. And as a result, Georgia has been, as you know, has been mentioned here in the last couple of days, on the forefront of implementing some critical, momentous front-end and back-end reforms to our criminal justice system. And we are seeing incredible results. One of the programs, or at least part of it, involves some of these nonviolent offenders, particularly who have drug problems, to be able to participate in court-supervised rehabilitation programs that involve a great deal of accountability. It's an 18 month to 2 year program. There's, as I mentioned, a lot of accountability. These people get jobs, they do community service, they have regular drug tests, they're involved in evidence-based treatment programs that involve both the faith-based community as well as others. And there's consequences if any of this stuff lapse, but even then the consequences are not just designed for arbitrary punishment, but they're designed to get these people back on their feet so that they can live a drug-free life. And just May, I had the distinct privilege of speaking at one of the graduation ceremonies. I've heard of this program in Georgia for several years, but I had the hands-on experience of speaking at one of these graduation ceremonies, and I tell you, I was moved to the core. In fact, there was not a dry eye in the place as one of these individuals after the other gave testimony of what their life was and what it has become and what these programs have meant, and then family members and friends also testified as well. And you know, at the end of this program, these people have literally 2 years under their belt of drug-free. They've been in the workforce, all these kinds of things, and it was just incredibly moving. One of the statistics that came up, I believe it was yesterday, with the recidivism issue is I think most of our prisons see people, once they're released, back in prison within 2 years. I mentioned results in Georgia. We are seeing through many of these drug court type things across the nation, for that matter, the recidivism rate is 25%. In Georgia, it's even less. In Barrow County, where I spoke a couple of months ago, it's significantly lower than even the 25%. And so I guess all of this is just, I'm so grateful that we're having this hearing. And again, just send sincere thanks to each of you for being on the front line of what you're trying to do, and for Chairman, your leadership in bringing this forward. Mr. Levin, let me just ask you, and I'm sure you have dealt with this. I apologize for coming in late myself, but what alternatives to prison do you see? I'm sure you're looking at Georgia and Texas, some of these other places, but to reduce recidivism, get these people's lives straightened out.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Congressman. Drug courts, the Hawaii Hope Court, which is a similar model, but it's more targeted just towards weekend jail for those who fail the drug test, and then even actually some of those who can't quit through that and ultimately go into the drug court where they get more significant treatment. Mental health courts, veterans courts, then other alternatives including electronic monitoring, various mental health treatment programs, both inpatient and outpatient for people with that problem. And so house arrest has been mentioned, so there's a whole host of alternatives, and I think one of the things we ought to look at is enabling the federal system through perhaps, the federal system could compensate the state, but to be able to place some individuals, whether it's in a halfway house or one of these other programs that is actually run by a state or a nonprofit, rather than, because it's very hard for the federal government, particularly in places where there may not be that many federal offenders, to try to reinvent the wheel of everything states are doing. So why not have a way for the federal government to partner with states and nonprofits and use some of the same programs?
Well, excellent. Again, I'm out of time, but again, I hope this committee continues to look at cost-effective ways of turning lives around as opposed to just punishment, and I thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. George.